The Truant. We have had scene of a petty tribulation in the Alhambra, which has thrown a cloud over the sunny countenance of Dolores. This little damsel has a female passion for pets of all kinds, and from the superabundant kindness of her disposition, one of the ruined courts of the Alhambra is thronged with her favorites. Stately Peacock and his hen seem to hold regal sway here over pompous turkeys, querulous guinea fowls, and a rabble rout of common cocks and hens. The great delight of Dolores, however, has for some time past been centered in a youthful pair of pigeons, who have lately entered into the holy state of wedlock, and even supplanted a tortoise-shell cat and kittens in her affections. As a tenement for them wherein to commence housekeeping, she had fitted up a small chamber adjacent to the kitchen, the window of which looked into one of the quite Moorish courts. Here they lived in happy ignorance of any world beyond the court and its sunny roofs. Never had they aspired to soar above the battlements or to mount to the summit of the towers. The virtuous union was at length crowned by two spotless and milk-white eggs, to the great joy of the cherishing little mistress. Nothing could be more praiseworthy than the conduct of the young married folks on this interesting occasion. They took turns to sit upon the nest until the eggs were hatched, and while their colored progeny required warmth and shelter, while one thus stayed at home, the other foraged abroad for food and brought home abundant supplies. This scene of conjugal felicity has suddenly met with a reverse. Early this morning, as Dolores was feeding the male pigeon, she took a fancy to give him a peep at the great bird. Opening a window, therefore, which looks down upon the valley of the Darro, she launched him at once beyond the walls of the Alhambra. For the first time in his life, the astonished bird had to try the full vigor of his wings. He swept down into the valley and then rising upwards with a surge, soared almost to the clouds. Never before had he risen to such a height or experienced such a line of flying, and like a young spendthrift just come to his state, he seemed giddy with excess of liberty, and with a boundless field of action suddenly opened to him. For the whole day he has been circling about his capricious flights, from tower to tower, and tree to tree. Every attempt has been vain to lure him back by scattering grain upon her roofs. He seems to have lost all thought of home, of his tender helpmate, and his callow young. To add to the anxiety of Dolores, he has been joined by two palomas, ladrones, or robber pigeons, whose instinct it is to entice wandering pigeons to their own dovecotes. The fugitive, like many other thoughtless youths on their first launching upon the world, seems quite fascinated with these knowing but graceless companions who have undertaken to show him life and introduce him to society. He has been soaring with them over all the roofs and steeples of Pernah. A thunderstorm has passed over the city, but he has not sought his own. Night has closed in, and still he comes not. To deepen the pathos of the affair, the female pigeon, after remaining several hours on the nest without being relieved, at length went forth to seek her recreant mate, but stayed away so long that the young ones perished for want of the warmth and shelter of the parent bosom. At a late hour in the evening, word was brought to Dolores that the truant bird had been seen upon the towers of the Generalife. Now it happens that the administrador of that ancient palace has likewise a dovecote, among the inmates of which are said to be 2 or 3 of these inveigling birds, the terror of all neighboring pigeon fancies. Dolores immediately concluded that the 2 feather sharpers who had been seen with her fugitive were these bloods of the Generalife. A council of war was forthwith held in the chamber of the Antonia. The Generalife is a distinct jurisdiction from the Alhambra, and of course some punctilio, if not jealousy, exists between their custodians. It was determined, therefore, to send Pepe, the stuttering lad of the gardens, as ambassador to the administrador, requesting that if such fugitives should be found in his dominions, he might be giving up as a subject of the Alhambra. Pepe departed accordingly on his diplomatic expedition through the moonlit groves and avenues, but returned in an hour with the afflicting intelligence that no such bird was to be found in the dock of the Tenerife. The administrador, however, pledged his sovereign word that if such vagrant should appear there, even at midnight, he should be instantly arrested and sent back prisoner to his little black-eyed mistress. Thus stands the melancholy affair, which has occasioned much distress throughout the palace, and sent the inconsolable Dolores to a sleepless pillow. Sorrow endureth for a night, says the proverb, but joy cometh in the morning. The first object that met my eyes on leaving my room this morning was Dolores, with the Truant pigeon in her hands, and her eyes sparkling with joy. He had appeared at an early hour on the battlements, hovering shyly about from room to room, but at length entered the window and surrendered himself prisoner. He gained little credit, however, by his return, for the ravenous manner in which he devoured the food set before him showed that, like the prodigal son, he had been driven home by sheer famine. Dolores upbraided him for his faithless conduct, calling him all manner of vagrant names, though, womanlike, she folded him at the same time to her bosom and covered him with kisses. I observed, however, that she had taken care to clip his wings to prevent all future sorrows, a precaution which I mention for the benefit of all those who have truant lovers or wandering husbands. More than one valuable moral might be drawn from the story of Dolores and her pigeon.